Hey everyone, and welcome to my new video. Today we are visiting Edinburgh Castle, and later today we will walk the Royal Mile down to Holyrood Palace. So if you're curious what everything looks like, please join me. Edinburgh Castle is one of the oldest fortified places in Europe, with a long rich history as royal residence, military garrison, prison and fortress. It is alive with many exciting tales. When you climb Castle Hill, you will walk in the footsteps of soldiers, kings and queens. Before we continue exploring the castle, we would like to witness the 1 o'clock gunshot. Ships in the Firth of Forth once set their maritime clocks by the 1 o'clock gun. The firing of the gun dates back to 1861, when businessman John Hewitt brought the idea to Edinburgh from Paris. The gun is still fired every day at 1 p.m. except on Sundays, Good Friday and Christmas Day. In order to see the spectacle, you have to buy a ticket to visit Edinburgh Castle, or you can just relax at Princess Street Gardens, where you can only hear the firing of the gun. I must say that it almost feels like a small village when you walk around the castle. I also wonder whether people actually live here, especially since there are parked cars in front of some of the houses. And if so, I really don't want to know how expensive their rent must be. It was super windy at this area of Castle Rock. At some point I was afraid that my camera would just fly out of my hands, so we decided to check out the exhibition at the National War Museum. I really enjoy walking around the castle. The architecture and buildings are truly beautiful, and I'm really surprised that everything is still intact, especially since this castle dates back to the 17th century. With your ticket, you are also able to visit the room with the crown jewels. But as you can see, the queue was quite long and we still had so many plans for today, so we decided to visit them next time. So instead of visiting the crown jewels, we entered the Great Hall. The Great Hall was completed in 1511 for King James IV, but James IV had little time to enjoy his new addition to the castle. The king was killed at the disastrous Battle of Flodden in 1513, fighting the forces of King Henry VIII of England, his brother-in-law. Nowadays, the Great Hall displays weapons and armor that hint at its military past. There is even a small garden that is used to bury regimental mascots and officers' dogs. This big gun is called Monsmac. Monsmac was once seen as cutting-edge military technology. Given to King James II in 1457, the 6-ton siege gun could fire a 150 kilograms gunstone for up to 3.2 kilometers. Once you leave Edinburgh Castle, there is a really nice souvenir shop at your left-hand side, Tartan Weaving Mill and Experience. It's quite a big shop where you can buy cashmere, Highland wear and really cute souvenirs that you can bring home with you. You can buy the cashmere scarves in all different kinds of price ranges, and of course it's no wonder that the softest scarves are automatically the most expensive ones. On the other side of the street you can find a nice restaurant called The Witchery. This is more like a fancy restaurant where you can order things like oysters, caviar and lobsters. So it might be no surprise that you will probably spend a lot of money eating here. The prices for a starter range between 11 and 26 pounds and the main courses between 26 and 90 pounds. Personally, I think you're not only paying for the food, but also for the location of the restaurant. And let's be honest, it's a really nice location. Next to the restaurant, you can find the Scotch Whisky Experience. If you're interested in learning more about whiskey, going on one of their tours might be a great idea for you. They offer several tours with different duration and price categories, ranging between 19 and 82 pounds per person. If you only want to buy a nice bottle of whiskey, you can also visit the Scotch Whisky Shop. I must say that I've never seen so many different kinds of whiskey in one place. When you continue your walk on the Royal Mile, you will quickly see a terrace overlooking a gently curved street filled with colourful shops. This is Victoria Street, which is probably one of the most photographed spots in Edinburgh. Not only because it's beautiful to look at, but also because J.K. Rowling used Victoria Street as an inspiration for Diagon Alley in the Harry Potter series. There's even an amazing Harry Potter shop called Museum Context. Our next stop is James Court. Here you can find an amazing and traditional pub called the Jolly Judge. I can really recommend you to go there sometime and just have a drink because the setting of the pub is just beautiful. There is another cafe right across the Jolly Judge, namely the Thistlestop Cafe. This one is quite small and it's perfect to go there for lunch. So I also recommend that one. Oh, and please beware of the pigeons when you walk there because sometimes they drop something. And yes, unfortunately, I speak from experience. A museum that I can recommend to you is the Writers' Museum. It celebrates the lives of 3 giant Scottish authors, Robert Burns, Sir Walter Scott and Robert Louis Stevenson, who you might know from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In this museum, you can see portraits, rare books and personal objects of these 3 major authors. And like most of the museums, it's for free. Another famous pub on the Royal Mile is Deacon Brodie's Tavern. The pub is named after one of the city's most famous sons, Deacon William Brodie, one of the inspirations behind Robert Louis Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde. By day, he was a respectable citizen and a member of the town council, but by night he became involved in gambling and drinking. To pay off his debts, he had to resort to bulgari and a life of crime. And by 1786, he had a small gang of criminals working in the city. Only a few more steps and we're at St. Giles Cathedral, and you can't miss St. Giles Cathedral on a trip to Edinburgh. The beautiful church building on the Royal Mile has played an important role in the religious history of Scotland. During your visit, you can admire the stunning architecture both in and outside the building and learn about the Scottish Reformation and its significance. Scotland's religious history is quite complicated at times, and St. Giles was at the heart of the turmoil. The country was largely Catholic up until the 16th century when John Knox led the Reformation, converting people to Protestantism. St. Giles' architecture is also stunning. Inside, you can see the 4 central pillars, which are the only features remaining from the original chapel, constructed in the 12th century. Much of it was burned down during a fire in 1385 and has been remodeled many times since. There are also many stained glass windows lining the walls inside, and from the outside you should take note of the steeple with its characteristic crown design on top, which was added in the 16th century. You definitely shouldn't miss the Thistle Chapel when visiting St. Giles Cathedral. It's the official chapel of the Knights of the Order of the Thistle, the highest order of chivalry in Scotland. The chapel has some of the most impressive details inside, but unfortunately I can't show you the chapel in detail since it was closed during our visit. You can see a statue of John Knox inside St. Giles, where he served as the minister for many years. Imagine him giving his sermons from the pulpit, which he used to promote Presbyterianism, a style of worship that was far humbler than Catholicism, without the wealth and hierarchy. If you take a look in Parliament Square behind the cathedral, you can also see his grave, simply designed in accordance with his beliefs, and the only one remaining from the cemetery that used to be there. Nowadays, you can just park your car on his grave. Right across St. Giles Cathedral is a special place for Harry Potter fans. Shortly after J.K. Rowling completed the Harry Potter series, she was awarded the Edinburgh Award. You can find her handprints along with other winners of the award just off the Royal Mile in front of the Edinburgh City Chambers. Another beautiful and picturesque side street of the Royal Mile is Cockburn Street. Here you can find some beautiful shops but also cute cafes and pubs. How to get ready for the holidays in Edinburgh? Well, by visiting the Nutcracker shop on the Royal Mile. It's not a big shop, but still I want to buy something every time I go there. And the best thing about this shop? Well, you can personalize your own ornaments. John Knox House on Edinburgh's Royal Mile is a well-known tourist attraction. It is still open to the public, telling the story of the Reformation and showing how people lived 400 years ago. Tradition says that a small window on the first floor was once used by Knox, leaning out to preach at the people in the street. Bakehouse Close is a must-visit for any Outlander fan. Do you remember that Jamie Fraser had his own printing shop on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh? Well, this is the place. I'm sorry guys, I really wanted to show you Holyrood Palace, but unfortunately it's closed, and I don't know if it has something to do with the passing of the Queen a couple of weeks ago. But if you want to see Holyrood House, please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications, because next time I'm in Edinburgh I will visit this place and I will take you with me. So don't forget to subscribe. Even though the Palace of Holyrood House was closed today, I still want to try to show you a little glimpse of the square. After we left, we heard that King Charles was at Holyrood Palace, so now it all makes sense why it wasn't open for visitors today. And in case you still have plenty of energy, you can climb Arthur's Seat. But since we had a long and quite exhausting day and the climb seems heavy, we decided to go there next time. Or maybe we'll just enjoy the view from down here. Alright guys, thank you everyone for sticking with me until the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that I was able to give you an idea on what you can see while walking the Royal Mile from Edinburgh Castle to the Palace of Holyrood House. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of my future adventures, don't forget to subscribe. See you soon!